Hello, hello, hello. Simon Burge, good to see you. We all look a little bit sweaty because we're having our 2 days of summer here in the UK, which I'm sure our friends across the pond in the US can kind of resonate with. I've got a fan in the background, so I hope that's not making too much background noise. But Simon, I think you've got the same. And Burge is he got on the stream slightly later in a hot sweat, so he's obviously not had a good night's sleep. But how are you guys doing? How's your week been? It's been a while since there's been the three of us. I think last week was me and Burge. But how are you keeping, Simon? How are you keeping, Burge?
Burge, you're looking as fresh as a daisy. How are you?
It's killed me. It has killed me. The summer heat, the heat wave. Obviously, we've got a mini heat wave. I think we've had back-to-back records for the hottest day in May in the UK, and I've got no fan. I've got no fan. I've got no portable aircon. Well, obviously, for the American folk in the UK, we don't really have AC. That's not really a thing in flats. And then on top of that, because I'm on ground floor, but I'm right near the entrance of my block of flats, I typically don't like to open the windows because of the privacy. You know, like if I open my window, everyone can hear me, and you can kind of look through a little bit because it's near the entrance of the block of flats. So obviously, you don't really open your window anyway during the day if it's hot. But yeah, it's been a nightmare. Honestly, it's so hard to sleep. But all that being said, really happy to be back with all three of us, and good to see you, Simon.
Yeah, it's good. It's funny. I was watching this video the other day. It was like 30 degrees in Spain feels like 30 degrees. 30 degrees in Australia feels like 30 degrees. 30 degrees in the US feels like 30 degrees. But 30 degrees in the UK is just like, it might as well be 45 because there's so much moisture density in the air and it just kind of lags on you. Yes. But Simon, how have you been, bud? We've missed you. You've been off the radar for a couple of weeks now.
Yes, I have. And just been traveling with work, although it'll get quieter now, I think, with the heat, the summer in the UK, it tends to get a bit quieter with training. I was just thinking as well about the whole summer, the weather in this country, but it's the way we just continuously can't stop talking about it. Wherever I go, any little shop. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but we really do. And the other thing is, we're all saying it's too hot now. Come the end of the week, if the weather changes, everyone will be saying things like, "Oh well, that's the summer done then." It's like that'll be. Well, you know, at least we had it for a while. That'll be the exact. I can just see it happening now. But you know, it's what we do. We talk about the weather and have cups of tea and talk about NFTs.
It's all good. Just for the 5 of you that have joined us for the live stream, just do me a massive favor. Please just share it out on whatever platform you're listening to it on. We're going to talk about NFTs, the crypto market. Going to dive deep into NFTs, answering any questions in the chat. If you pop them in the chat, we'd really appreciate it. But first, I just want to say a massive thank you to Amit, who's shared the live stream, tunes in every week, and he's shared it again this week. So I really appreciate you, Amit. And obviously he's part of the Carrot Lane group, which is awesome. Simon, you and I were talking off air before we jumped on this. It was actually a bit of a bro hangout while we were waiting for Burge to wake up. We're talking a little bit about mental health.
He was lying on the floor.
Yeah. Burge was a puddle on the floor. But it was a good chat, mate. Like, and it's sometimes, I think it's those conversations that you could probably share on air on a live stream, which is a bit about sort of mental health, being isolated, kind of being by yourself. And I think, you know, it's not anything like I'm ashamed of sharing with anyone, but like, obviously, because I'm a writer, it's not really a team sport. You don't really get the social connection. You know, when I worked in a 9-to-5 job, as much as I hated it, there were people around you all the time. And you go into an office, and as much as I hated the commute, you were there in the office and you were bantering with people, and then you'd get that social connection through the day. Whereas obviously that's different. You know, we're all pursuing a content-driven careers or whatever.
Yes.
And then you lose that social connection. And yeah, I can see you obviously not going on.
I kind of, it's weird because I have 3 children. One of them is still at home, albeit turning 16. Other 2 left home, and therefore it's slightly different but I also know that I can very much withdraw from. I think I said it before to you. When you have a choice, to go and see some friends who you not see your best friends, but they're people who are in the local area, and you could go, or you could sit down and be a geek or nerd out. Sometimes it's very easy to, well, for me, to just go down the rabbit hole, just particularly how my brain is. And when we were talking before, we were just saying the most important thing is friends and human connection. And we often talk about how weirdly NFTs are probably the best place in crypto if you're going to be in it to create that connection. This is very difficult to find that in other areas. And we just go to what you, Burge, were trying to do a lot and want to do a lot is thinking, meetups, actual getting together with people. It's healthy. It's good for mental health, apart from anything we were talking about that, weren't we, Jaden, about I think a lot of people are very good at masking things, or we don't tend to talk about it, but probably most people have those moments, don't they? I was telling one last thing without rabbiting on. I was telling you that because I've got diagnosed clinical OCD, which I found out about. I always knew something was wrong, but then when it was actually diagnosed, it was a great relief. And I think most people need to be connected to people. I find that particularly helps with me anyway.
Yeah. This is why I look forward to this live stream, especially with you two. I mean, I know we waffle on. It's interesting. I get DMs after every single live stream. And when it's an absolute banger and we've gone deep down the rabbit hole of NFTs and crypto, I get people messaging me saying that's just like the alpha was brilliant and blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes we just have a general chit chat. And then some people message, they're like, oh, could you dived into the NFTs a bit more? And I'm like, actually, I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this for fucking anyone else. This is the social connection. Like the viewers, whatever, if they want to listen, they can listen. That's up to them.
I agree. And Jaden, I did want to say, and we don't need to go down there. Okay. I know we sometimes talk about how's dating going. And I'm actually talking to a very nice lady. Haven't met her, but she's really lovely. But I know, and I imagine you've got an interesting.
so basically what Simon is doing is he's teeing me up here because I told him off air that I'm currently caught up in an affair. And so talk about trying to ease my social connection. I'm
I was going to say that's quite
so people are going to listen to this and going to go fucking hell. But
is this NFTs or is this
is this therapy? No, I'm caught up in something at the moment, and I don't know.
You like her, don't you?
I've caught some feelings. Yeah, I've caught some feelings. So I don't really know what to do. But so that's just another thing on top of other things. So go on, Simon.
Go on, Burge.
Burge, you're the only one getting screwed on. Except
you're actually normal, Burge. It's just
I'm good at the moment.
That's good.
Distance is definitely, it's a factor for sure. But there's not too much to say really.
No, well, actually, do you know what, Burge? I was going to say to Jaden, but also I know that you've had an invitation in the cricket club. In the meantime, haven't you?
Say that again.
I'm not talking about the over 40s cricket tour. I'm talking about an invitation to go on holiday.
Oh, yeah. So we've got to keep that on the DLO, mate, because this is going to just be a web of.
I won't go there. I didn't say anything. Jaden. How's NFT life for you, Jaden?
Okay, guys. We're gonna swiftly move on with the show. That was a good little 10-minute intro for everyone who got through that. It's going to be a real interesting one today. We're going to talk about crypto NFTs. It's felt like the market's been a little bit softer. I think there's this anticipation or people willing the market to go up and people wanting it to do well. And we've kind of had this almost not this false start, but it's kind of like each time it goes up, it feels like it's dragged down. It almost feels like it's being manipulated. It's like as soon as the market starts to do well, you get a Trump tweet or a random war that goes on, or oil prices are spiking, and it just feels long and painful. And I think it's because a whole bunch of people have their hopes and dreams tied up in a lot of this stuff. And I just wanted to get a bit of a sentiment check from you guys as to how you're feeling about the current market. There's a whole bunch of people that, because I do these live streams on different platforms, there's a whole bunch of people that are saying that this year is going to be a bear market. I mean, I personally can't see that, especially with NFTs, with the way that some of these gacha and loot platforms are selling out of these physical assets. They're vaulting them and then they're sending out the digital receipt. I mean, Panini did $70 million in the last kind of like 4 or 5 months. Tops are cooking. Courtyard are selling a shit ton of alternative assets. And then obviously CryptoPunks, which is a bit of an index, the entire space has increased. So there's some positive stuff there. But I just wanted to get a feel for you guys and how you're feeling at the moment and what you think about the current state of the market. Burge, I can bring you into this.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, I do kind of relate to that kind of feeling of as soon as we have like any sort of good news, there's kind of bad news to follow. Feels right now. I think the reason why people are very quick they're very emotional usually. So when they're thinking about the future of like the rest of this year, for example, because we haven't had a tremendous start or first half of the year, people will always kind of write it off and think, oh, this is going to be a bear market. But I don't think it is going to be. I'm the same as you. I think that I think that all of the right kind of ingredients for the market to pick up and recover and start doing really well, I think are there. But I think, it's the weird one. It's the sentiment. It's also what's happening macroeconomically, what's happening globally. That is right now kind of holding the market back, I think. But I think the most important thing is it definitely feels like the market has matured enough to the point where we're ready for another bull market. Like if you ask anyone who's been in the space for the last 4 or 5 years, they will tell you that this regardless of whether they're positive or negative on the future or on the short-term future of the market, they will tell you it's been long enough. Like if I told you like, oh, in the future, in 3 months' time, there will be a bull market coming back, people would say, well, to be fair, yes, it has been long enough, and it feels like it's time for a bull market. But the problem is, it's not how the market works, like people are ready for it, but is it going to happen? But you're right, Jaden. Like all those external factors. I mean, how could we have predicted that Trump was going to, invade, like bomb Iran? None of these things are like, and they're not. That's not really manipulation of the crypto markets. He's not doing that for manipulation of the crypto markets, right? That's a wider thing, but it is impacting crypto. Simon, what's your thoughts?
Well, I was just thinking you're so right about the emotion that drives things. And I remember a month ago when everything started really surging again, led, as you said, by CryptoPunks as a weather vane for what's happening, but also then seeing fantastic moves in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, particularly with Michael Figge coming on board. That seems to really rejuvenate things. And it's not like they've gone back down to what they were, but it's definitely in a strange holding pattern almost at the moment. And I think there's one thing is for sure that you said earlier, actually, when we were off air, Jaden, there's people can talk, but it's about what's actually happening, actions. And we all know that actions speak louder. And there's no doubt physicals, collectibles are big news at the moment, aren't they? And they are becoming more and more intrinsically linked in one way or another for whatever reason, usually ownership, usually, perks and exciting airdrops and all those kinds of things to the digital space and to blockchain. For example, not to talk about it now, but Chimpers and their online merch store is a great example. What it feels like is that some collections and some pockets of the NFT space are starting to really go somewhere, and probably we're going to see more and more of a falling away of all the others. I mean, you're always saying, Jason, I don't know, 90-something% are dead anyway. And I think that gap's going to widen. And I think people who genuinely are tapping into the need for human connection and for collectibles, physicals, those kinds of ecosystems are really playing it well. And I know that VeeFriends have always been in that space, right? But you can see others just consciously moving into that space. It's great if you're in a position where you have both the digital and the physical. I mean, what a great place to be.
The online community, the thing that stuck out to me, I don't know if you saw, was it Invisible Friends? And they hadn't posted for 2 years, but the price went up. But if you look at the holder ratio, there's obviously a whole bunch of people that really liked the art back in the day, and it was one of the most hyped mints. I know we're going a bit further down here because I'm going to circle back to something, but that tells me that there are a community of people that have organized around those assets, that have assigned it value, and most of them only have one of them. And even if the project doesn't do well or doesn't do anything more, it's the psychology of the holder that means they don't want to let that one go. And it obviously reminds them of a time where maybe it was really sought after, or the art was really sought after, and there's some nostalgia attached to it. So there's other reasons why people won't let these things go. And I think there will be with a lot of these tokens. I mean, we saw it with the top 300 NFT projects. If you go on NFT floor price and you filter it just by market cap, the top 300 are all up in price over the last 90 days. So there's a clear rotation into this stuff. So it's obviously waking up the original holders. And then it's like, okay, where is the next wave of buyers going to come from? I think it's going to be a function of ETH increasing, because people who are holding ETH need to be up in ETH terms to feel a bit wealthier, to rotate into NFTs. But then it's going to be other people in other crypto ecosystems who want to lean into expressive assets. And I think the thing that people miss when they're in coins is the fact that you don't have a friendship group. You don't have an online connection or an online friendship group, which is crazy. I want to just share something here. This is something that Raoul Pal, I think he has like a private community or whatever, but he shared this clip. In fact, I've just snipped it down, but he basically talks about the potential of there being a super cycle. But I'll just play this. Let me know if you can hear it. Hold on.
Because of this massive capex spend that cannot stop. The race with China is on. The administration wants this to happen. They need it for votes and everything else. So they will push for this whole thing. Liquidity looks like it'll come in any way, shape, or form. Now, because bill issuance is the main part of the liquidity cycle, we're actually losing cyclicality because of it. Even though we've got the big debt rollovers, but we've got 9 trillion to do this year, 10 trillion next year. It's like it's ongoing. So the point you and I have been talking about for maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years, is we thought that after this cycle would be a super cycle. And now we're kind of starting to think, you know what, maybe we don't get a full liquidity down cycle here. Sure, we'll get market corrections, we'll get sideways trends for 6 months, whatever it is. But really speaking, we could see an extended, extremely hot business cycle that runs. And the only thing that would null and void that is if the bond market says no fucking way.
So it's interesting, his views on it. I think let me just wait for that screen to, my screen's just frozen. Guys, could you see that?
Yeah,
we saw it, and we're back to normal.
You're back. It's interesting because I think one of the things that Raoul Pal does is he's very good at the macro stuff. He understands directionally where markets are going. He's not been very good on the timing. I don't think anyone is good on the timing except for the people who just played the 4-year business cycle and probably just guessed right. I mean, there's a influencer I follow. I don't know if you've probably seen her, Leia Halpern. She's very attractive. She does like these TikTok videos, and her logic was sell in October because they call it Uptober. So you might as well just sell then. And logically, that sounds completely, absolutely fucking, I don't want to say retarded, but that just sounds crazy. But actually, if you think about it, it's just like if everyone's thinking that, and that's the logical thing to do. And obviously, she's timed the market right because she's documented the whole thing. And then the other thing she said is sell in May and go away or something like this. And there's like all these things that rhyme that don't actually mean anything, that don't actually correlate with any macro framework or anything. And then you've got these macro experts who are getting it completely wrong, but she's getting it right somehow.
Yes.
And it's like,
I love that.
Like,
keeping it really simple. I mean, it all becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it? Enough people keep saying it, enough people keep doing it.
But if that's the most basic thing that people are thinking, then that's what they're doing. And human nature is very hard to change. Then that is probably the outcome. The most obvious outcome is like a bit of Occam. If you use a bit of Occam's razor here, you're like, okay. But it's interesting. What do you guys think about that? About the likelihood of us having a super cycle now, and the cycle's not really playing out? Obviously, you only caught the bit about him talking about capital expenditure, but what he's actually saying is that Kevin Walsh, who's the Fed chair, has basically said that America needs to be a leader in AI, and for that to happen, businesses need capital expenditure to be able to spend on AI infrastructure. And it's going to be a race between them and China because obviously it's a winner takes all race. So he thinks that there's going to be room to lower rates to allow businesses to kind of kickstart their operations or whatever. The ISM looks like it's ticking up, which is like a business conditions index. So it kind of feels directionally good. But we've just been through a lot of pain. It just feels like we don't deserve good things anymore, and we just deserve to lose.
Yes. Well, Ralph Howard's always talking about the exponential age, isn't he? The age where everything's just going to completely change, and then when you tie it to what he says about a super cycle, you know, the kind of super cycle will be a little bit a part of the thinking around the exponential age where things just go. But then I really like him, and I think he's very convincing, and he's got a really great sort of take on the macro scene, hasn't he? I think he articulates it brilliantly and convincingly. As you say, he's not always right with his timing. When I was listening to that, do you know what I was thinking? I was thinking, no one actually knows. And you can surmise. But then the second thought I had immediately, I don't know about you guys, was instead of getting hung up in the NFT space, for example, on prices, actually stop waiting for things to become fantastic. Just actually enjoy, as long as you're managing your finances reasonably well. You're not doing what I can do, which is stupidly dive into something emotionally sometimes. You can all do, but I certainly do. Then actually enjoy being in the space for what it is and see what comes out of it for you personally, and be sensible about where you take profits. Notice what you're doing emotionally to make decisions. I personally believe that, I mean, it is going to, I believe NFTs particularly are going to fly at some point. I truly believe that, because we're three quite different people. All of us love the NFT space for different reasons, probably.
It's funny. It just
belonging and ownership and scarcity and community and excitement and not knowing, all those things, I think are quite can be spread very easily amongst lots of people once people get into it. I think things can grow.
I was just thinking of that when you said we were in it for different reasons. Burge was saying he didn't buy a fan for himself, but he's got like 13 apples, which is probably like a cost.
I don't care.
Actually, update on that.
As long as
I can't fucking breathe in my flat. I can't breathe. I've got 100 grand in JPEGs.
There's an update on that, actually. I have
open the window.
While.
Sorry.
Yeah, for a while.
Are you sharing something, Burge?
I'll share that in a second, but an update on the Apple situation. So for a while, no apples were being sold, and just recently I have beat the market both times people had high offers. I came in, put in a new high offer, and both times I timed it impeccably and got sold to by the same guy who's the guy who's been selling apples for the last, several months. And I'm now up to 15 apples. So I've made my
I do not feel sorry for you that you're basically a puddle in your own flat, mate. You just got to buy a fan.
Yes.
A fan is on the way.
You guys call it an AC.
Yeah,
we don't have
it's being shipped.
You guys call it an AC, but we don't have ACs here. Blah blah blah. Mate, buy a fucking fan. It's £30. It's £30 for a fucking fan. You got like 100 grand in JPEGs, and you're.
I was going to say, Virgin, that's amazing that you got those 15 apples.
Yeah,
now.
I really like. One of the things that really struck me was like, with this guy. This guy's he's down to like his last few apples, and basically over the last week or 2 weeks he hasn't really sold any, as I was saying, and it was interesting how few were selling, and I just thought, I've clearly made the right decision here because it's clearly very illiquid. These aren't selling low, like people aren't dumping these. It's just one guy that's been dumping loads of them, and he's running out of his supply. He's got no more. He can't wrap anymore. So previously what he was doing is he was like, wrapping 11, selling the 11, wrapping 11 more. But I've looked at his wallet. He doesn't have any more that he can wrap. He's got 5 left or 4 left. And I'm the I've literally the funniest thing was I looked at the Ether scan to see where he was maybe moving the money or what he was doing with it. And I don't know what he was doing. I think he was cashing out mainly. Like moving it to Coinbase or I'm not 100%, but on Etherscan, you could see you can see his top 10 inflows, which are the top 10 like sources of money that are flowing into his wallet. I'm number 3, and that's including like
he should send you a fan in the post, mate.
Yeah, that's including like.
But hell, that's worrying, Burge. He must be, if he knew or she knew. Burge is tracking my whole life online. He is tracking.
Well, I can't track everything.
Paying him more than anyone else.
But but I've literally sent him so much, and it's just obviously me buying apples. But yeah, a fun one.
I think it's a good play that, mate. The apples just capturing the trend. Go on, you're going to say something.
Yeah, the thing that I wanted to share here, related to the market here, is this kind of graph. Look how true this is. Crypto is getting obliterated by every other asset, and it is true, unfortunately. So I pull up this, I make this graph a little bit bigger. You're looking at this. It's only the last year or so, just over the last year. I don't know why the timeline is like that, but you can see here the crypto market did kind of follow suit in the late half of 2025. In the early part of 2026, you see it kind of die. You see it kind of go in the opposite direction. And obviously, silver and gold, we all know, completely going nuclear with the war, etc. But also stocks are just up a huge amount. And this tweet by DGMD kind of, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but he's saying until these IPOs happen, like SpaceX, etc., and the stock bubble bursts, it's pretty fair to assume that people will use every crypto pump as liquidity. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I do think he's kind of right in terms of, right now, crypto is not the talk of the town, is it? It's stocks. Yeah. Stocks are, and the IPOs that are coming out, that's really what's captured the market's interest.
I'm amazed by how many people chase pumps. Like there's a few of the younger guys at the gym who are buying actual silver coins, and I'm like, that's so strange. These are guys in their mid-20s, and it's like you're buying like I just assumed that every person under 30 would just be leaning more into the digital stuff, but it's just a case of people chasing whatever the attention flows are. And the thing is, the same will happen with crypto, is that people start to chase the train at the station. Because human nature is they don't want to miss out and they FOMO into things. But for people who have been in crypto, especially a couple of cycles, I mean, the beauty that we've got in this cycle is we can see some runway. We can see some runway of some battle-tested assets. So obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Doge, these are just bona fide blue chips that are going to last into the future. But I think it would be certainly naive to start chasing these things that are in the headlines, because we know that the digital assets outperform because they're on internet rails. And it's just like, and especially with these fixed supply assets like Bitcoin and particularly NFTs that have the built-in supply friction, is they just go up to astronomical levels when people have more money in their pockets for discretionary spending. But at the moment, no one's got any fucking money. I'm like, obviously I had a bit of a bender this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I was paying £7 a pint. £7. I don't know what that equates to in US dollars. I think it'd probably be more in US dollars, but £7 is crazy. That is like, I used to pay £2.50 for a pint of beer. Now it's £7 or £7.50.
Yep. So I mean, I went to the London recently and just bought a pint of Coke, £5.50.
Yeah, but mate, Burge, I'd have charged you $5.50 for ordering a Coke, mate. That's embarrassing.
Yes, I just take a little bit.
Insane though. So it's meant to be a soft drink. It's meant to be like the cheap, like a beer, like a pint. Like I can see why they, sometimes they have nice pints. I can see why maybe they would charge a bit more. But Coke.
Yeah, the zeros are actually more expensive than the alcohol ones.
Yes, and I don't drink alcohol.
Oh, really?
But even the alcohol-free beers
are
not exactly cheap. They're not far off. I was going to say just quickly about the state of the market as well, is that obviously institutional interest has cooled off a bit, hasn't it? Quite a lot of outflows of the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. And this is just top of my head. I have no idea if I'm speaking correctly or not. I feel like at the moment, crypto's in a bit of a no man's land. It's almost lost its identity. It's neither fully institutionalized and sort of taken into the institutional fold, into the mainstream. Neither is it quite as edgy and decentralized in its feel and kind of almost rebellious in the way it used to be. And it's sort of, I don't know whether it's in a transition. It's a cultural loss of identity. And I don't know what's happening with the Clarity Act. There's back and forth. It always seems to be about to happen, and then suddenly there's no news. Pulls back. But I think the biggest thing is, for me, is I don't think it's got the edge it used to at the moment, nor is it fully have been accepted as a major asset quite yet.
I mean, my 2 cents on that is I think it's now pop culture to invest in crypto. It's like, okay, it's no longer the speculative thing. It's no longer the countercultural play. And in fact, the countercultural play now is the pendulum swing into traditional assets like gold and silver. That was not on my fucking bingo card for those to outperform last year. And also the stocks, people always try and do the countercultural thing. Like now, people having a push towards actual real life events and in-person stuff and analog things versus digital stuff, because everyone's shit scared they're going to lose their jobs through AI. Now there's like a countercultural push towards certain things, which I think is interesting. Talking about countercultural push, and I'm going to just kind of pivot slightly. I don't know if any of you watched or listened to Bankless, which was for me, it was my education into crypto. I used to listen to it in the car when I drove to my fucking soul-destroying job that I had to do. Although having said that, I actually had more social connection at the job, even though they paid me absolutely nothing. But I used to listen to them, and they're very intelligent guys. But David Hoffman has just posted, I think a couple of days ago, that he's basically sold all of his Ethereum. Bearing in mind, Bankless is predominantly an Ethereum podcast. Did you guys see any of that on the timeline? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I saw the headline of him selling. I wasn't quite sure what the deeper reason was for it, because he hasn't entirely lost faith in ETH as its potential as a global kind of layer to the financial system, but he's lost faith in something, hasn't he? He's basically
he's basically saying the ETH is money thesis has reached its limit, or it's played out. which I've often, like, when I started listening to them and I got infatuated by the things they were saying, and I try to lean in and learn. And then you realize actually these super intelligent guys mid-curve it a little bit. They just get a little bit mid-curvy, because if he actually knew and he wanted to optimize his capital allocation, he would just use the ETH to buy high-end NFT art. And that would kind of solve everything. But I think what they're realizing is, as these smaller, less liquid networks are coming on people's radars, because they're smaller and less liquid and they're just indexed against Bitcoin, they rise optically, but they rise by a higher percentage. So they outperform. So why would you just hold Ethereum? I don't know why anyone would hold these.
No, I can't hold it.
Like,
I buy all the NFTs. Yeah, we all just buy NFTs with it.
You think, why the fuck would you hold Ethereum? Because you got the leverage. If you're holding NFTs, it's like a leverage bet on ETH anyway.
Well, some people think that, obviously because Bitcoin is where it's at, and ETH is kind of, they think, cemented as a number 2 crypto, or at least has kind of, it's always kind of had that connotation for the last few years, right? It's the number 2 cryptocurrency. People have always put forward this kind of belief that it's going to have a bigger rise, ROI, percentage-wise, than Bitcoin in the next 5-10 years, because of how crazy Bitcoin has gone. They believe ETH hasn't kept up as much as Bitcoin, and is kind of due over time, because ETH is kind of like the building blocks for so many different things. And obviously the whole NFT, or the majority of the NFT market, lives on Ethereum. But it's not just that. There's DeFi. There's other things that Ethereum is used for as well, because it's used so much. People believe it's not going away, and they think, well, Bitcoin has exponentially rise, but we are due at some point an Ethereum exponential rise, where it will redefine the relationship between it and Bitcoin, and the ratio will come back into balance, or will become one where Ethereum is now only 1/8 of Bitcoin. And that's I think what people were maybe thinking with holding Ethereum is, right now, I'm going to hold Bitcoin for sure, but Ethereum actually looks more attractive because I think there's more upside to it, and it's similarly like Bitcoin, not going to go anywhere, not going to go away, still safe, but it has potentially more ROI in the next 5-10 years. I think both of them are really the play, but you're right, Jen. I think why not hold NFTs? I mean, I guess some people just aren't, they haven't gone down that rabbit hole, or they're more crypto native.
I always run a mile when I hear people turn things into a philosophy, like the ETH is money narrative. It's like,
that was an odd one.
It's like, fucking hell, who cares? Like, these are just, actually, if you just keep it really simple, these are just network adoption models. Whether people use it for money or not, I think is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, are you saying
he was saying it wasn't money or something?
Yeah, no, I used the AI to scan, because I wasn't going to read the whole thing, because to be honest, I just from a personal point of view, I just had an allergic reaction to some of the stuff they put out on the timeline, because they're just over. I mean, they did one segment when the FTX Luna thing was happening, and it was about, let's say some bullish things about Ethereum. Let's talk about all the bullish things, and it was just like, I was like, guys, what is, like? I think they kind of lost their way a little bit, and just
I think they have. That's what I'm.
But super intelligent guys, super intelligent, like know the technology inside out. But you got to think about it, Burge. No one gives a fuck about the technology. Like, look at us on this live stream now. Like, we're not going, this live stream's amazing. And if actually people were watching and they were putting comments in, we could see it. And the back end language model is maybe Python, and it does all this. And we don't care. We just need to know that it works. And it's the same with ETH. ETH is just, for me, it's like a picks and shovels play of the internet, because because it's got an application layer, and that value compounds. And just by owning the token, you're capturing whatever the values in that network. This is why these layer ones that have an application layer on top, like Solana, like Sui. I know Avalanche was meant to be an ETH killer at one point, but they just capture value if you get things that are built out on top of it, which I think is interesting.
in this sector, the technology is just it's ahead of the use cases. So it's almost like in the last few years, especially as the market's cooled, we're playing catch up. We've seen some innovation. We've seen stuff like Hyperliquid, right? Like we've seen innovation happen. But you're right, Ethereum, it's not, I don't think it's lost on anyone who's been here for a while that Ethereum will be a staple. It will be a staple. It's used in too much. I don't think it's going to go away. I don't think Ethereum is dead by any means or will die. And then at the same time, I do believe that technology is still kind of ahead of the use cases. Like the use cases are going to come, and they're here at the moment, but I think there's going to be many, many more. And I think Ethereum will be the foundational block that a lot of things are built on, and it will have its day. I think it will have its day.
Yeah, I just want to dive a little bit deeper into the NFT ecosystem. Simon, I know you're very hot on the pulse of NFTs. You chucked something in the private group a couple of days ago. It might have been yesterday, actually.
Oh, yeah.
A project that is, I want to add a guess, maybe 4 or 5x up. What is some of the stuff that you're seeing in NFTs at the moment? And is there anything that you could report on?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of bits and pieces of news from certain collections. As a kind of overview, that I think it was the Beaks, isn't it? The NFT collection that minted yesterday. What I've noticed is, maybe you guys too, is that there's been a lot over the last few months, possibly, of art, limited collection, limited art pieces coming out. This is one of them, and this one is possibly the Beaks. Feels so difficult to assess really, but feels more valid in whatever way you might look at it, because the artist is a very highly renowned artist in the Web2 space. This is his first limited collection. But what I am noticing, and I have picked up, as I'm the same as so many people, I do dive into these little pieces of art, which I don't know much about, but I get a bit carried away. I can't work out where this has all come from, this little surge and interest in art particularly. But as always, I don't know about you two, I'm always thinking, but it's just bringing out so many flippers, so many people. And it always makes me slightly cringe when people say, oh, the art's amazing, man. And most of the time, most of them don't think that at all.
They're in for the
flip. All about the money.
Well,
and I know
it's funny you say that, Burge, yours and mine first entry into crypto was NFTs through VFriends.
Yes.
And let's be brutally honest, the art wasn't very fucking good. It was just a doodle.
People were on X berating it, just berating it constantly.
The thing is, you do grow attached to it. I don't know how to, the art can be shockingly shit. Which, and I don't want to, I don't
good collection actually.
I don't want to dunk on Gary because I know the whole purpose of what he was doing, which is actually very clever, because a lot of the art now, I saw on your weather vane, Simon, that it's a lot of hand drawn because there's a countercultural push to the AI. And it's showing
he was ahead of that.
It's showing unique provenance, and actually what Gary was doing was very fucking clever, because he knew that there was going to be a lot of AI stuff, and actually the imperfections of him drawing the hand drawn, almost like the bad art, a la early drawing of Mickey Mouse, Bart Simpson, Casper, whatever it is. He could then evolve it, but actually that would be the provenance, and he could show that, look, I hand drew this, and he's got videos on each of them. He's got a full video clip on each of them of him drawing it out, which I thought was really clever, because it was very thoughtful. And I think you just get this pendulum shift, because I know, because we went through a phase of obviously the historical and some of the cultural art was a bit edgy or whatever. And then people moved towards stuff that was more polished, like Bored Ape Yacht Club was more polished. And there was like, the World of Woman, the kind of PFP phase. But I think there's always that pendulum shift.
Yes, I agree. And the art, just the one last thing on that particular little, it's like the art production of collections coming out now are becoming really, people are almost feasting on them. Mints are coming out more and more. Mints are becoming more prevalent on my timeline. They did for a long time in the years, the barren years between 22 and 25 or whatever it might have been. And I've noticed that coming, and that may be a good sign. But I can see people are also coming out and just flipping. This one, the Beaks, people were literally, who managed to get the mint. I think it was a little bit of controversy about how that worked.
Right.
But it was 0.03, okay, on mint. There's only 1,100 of them. That was yesterday. Yeah. Within a couple of hours, it went up to 0.25 from 0.03, which is madness. But the thing about it is, but I did actually get one for 0.32, I think it was, yesterday, because I did actually look into the artist, and I can't believe the level of the art is all, it's called pointing or point something, where the art is literally hand drawn, and I love that. Yeah. But on a bigger scale, it's felt a little bit like a tiny mini version of 2021 with all the mints going on. It's just, it's like a mini version of a mini bubble going on over the last month or so when it comes to these art mints. I don't really know what that's saying about the space.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it a positive or a negative?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. I can't work it out.
To me, I would have said, like, if you'd have told me, like, 2 years ago that was happening, I would have said, well, that sounds like a positive, because it sounds like that kind of that 2021 energy momentum coming back.
Yes.
And then at the same time, you kind of have this thing, and I think we all agree, of like, should we have moved past that by now? Of this kind of, like, obviously we're not going to escape it completely, but you get what I'm saying, of like these mints where they come out and people buy them up, and people are like, oh, the art's great, lovely. They'll do their flip, then they'll get out and they'll be like, actually, I'm not really a big fan of the art, or they'll probably just not say anything, rather. And then what you'll have is you'll have this run up in the beginning when the project comes out, or when the mint is released, and then you'll have this drop off, and you always, I think that's the bit that I obviously hate the most, and that doesn't make me doesn't fill me with confidence, is this constant kind of pump and then dump and drop off. And it's especially with the fact that KOLs and people have been like, they promote certain projects, especially once they buy their 50, they put a tweet out into crypto Twitter and say, oh no, this project is actually really good. It's just tough, isn't it? Like, I feel like we should have matured a little bit out of some of that behavior, and I think we kind of have, but
you know, the other thing is, for me, it mirrors my own dilemma. I did about you two, which is I definitely have NFT collections of pieces, which I have no doubt are long term for me. I'm just not going anywhere with flipping unless I absolutely have to, or whatever. Or it just goes absolutely crazy to the point where it will be stupid not to sell. But I'm caught in no man's land in other areas of NFTs where I'll be honest, I can't work out whether I'm investing or I'm flipping.
Trading.
Trading. I can't work it out. And it's even more crap, because even if I am trading, I'm not, but just keep it anyway.
Yeah, because I think
I don't even have the wherewithal to feel I can sell, even if I have to be really consciously doing it.
See, I've heard that bit of advice online about you need to know whether you're a trader or an investor.
Yes.
Whereas I think, why isn't there a third option? Why can't you just be a consumer? Why can't you be in that consumer category? And why can't there be a fourth option? It's like, you can have things that you invest in, you can have things that you trade, and you can have things that you just want to connect with the community, and it can be all three. But I think people try and put themselves in boxes with certain things.
Maybe it's also the danger point is what I'm describing, which I can admit I sometimes slip into, that I'm disciplined, is where you're just not really being critically clear in your thinking about, am I trading? and I'll commit to the trading, and I will do that, or I'm investing and I will commit. But being caught into two worlds is really dangerous.
Not knowing whether you're going into it thinking, actually, I'm going to use this as a trading opportunity, and then roll it into something that I believe in a bit more, and maybe invest into that long term, or withdraw it and take some cash out of the system, or you're going in and you're thinking, actually, no, I'm going to invest, and I'm not, even if it goes up and then it dumps over the next 3-6 months, I'm actually not interested because I'm in it for 2-3 years time.
I just want to quickly segue onto some of the stuff in the VFriends ecosystem, and then we can move on to a couple of posts which I'm going to share. One was Adam Rhinotic, which his launch of the 10,000 tokens launch. But we can come on to that in a second. But first, I want to talk about VFriends. Obviously, Gary V over the weekend. I'm not big on my basketball, but obviously his team. Is it the Knicks?
Yeah,
Birds?
New York Knicks. Yeah,
they obviously won, and then he felt in a good mood, and he was basically giving away VFriends Series 2.
Well, they sweeped. It was a clean sweep, 4-0 on the conference finals. So they won every single game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they're now into the NBA playoff final. So they won their conference final, which would be the East Conference Finals, and now they're into the NBA playoff finals, which is historical for them. They had a good run last year, but they missed out on the finals, but to get to the finals this year is monumental for them.
Yeah. No, I saw he put up a post, and he said VFriends is going to pump in 2027.
Yes.
And I read some of the comments, and I was like, you said that in 2025, and you said that in 2021. And it's just like, why do people put dates to stuff? Like, obviously, I love everything.
I know.
It's like you just kind of you push yourself into a corner, whilst he has the capacity to make it fucking pump now. It's like and I think with VFriends, and I think with a lot of this stuff, because I try and be open-minded. Obviously, I'm a complete VFriends maxi because I've been following Gary's content for a long time. But there may come a time where we look at it and go, the lost opportunity cost of if you just put it into Bitcoin, like would that have outpaced it? Now, I know obviously the NFTs can obviously do a bit more in a shorter period of time or whatever. But it'll be interesting to see how long he decides to, before I guess he maximizes the contract capability of the NFT, because there's so much stuff he can do. There's so much stuff that he can do, and he's just concentrating on the IP at the moment. And now what he's actually doing is he's giving away a whole bunch of VFriends Series 2 as a bit of a lead magnet to get people into the ecosystem. And then he's saying, hey, check out VFriends Series 1, which I think is a good marketing tactic.
I think for him, he views it as, look, I can't control the market, right? He thought 2026 could be the year where we see a revival. Clearly, this first 6 months hasn't panned out quite the way he thought, especially us at the start of the year. We believed that, NFTs could really pick up. And obviously we had those dreams were kind of crushed a little bit in terms of with the war, etc., and more of what's happening macroeconomically. He knows he can't control that. I think he knows that it's going to come eventually. But I had the same feeling of you. When he said 2027, I was like, hang on a second, you said 2026 6 months ago. So what's going on there? But he knows that there's no point forcing it when it's not a bull market. He's going to wait until the market conditions are right, and then he's going to hammer it. But he's going to use this time right now as the time to onboard people for cheaper, because the upside for them is going to be there. Because right now you can get in cheap. You can get a Series 2 for $200, under $200. You get a Series 1 for only 1.3 Ethereum, which would probably be what is that right now? Like
$3,000
$3,000. And that is a great price if you think that a bull market is going to be coming in the next year, 2 years, or whatever, and now is a low point. And I think that's kind of where he's at. And I want to share another piece of info as well. Obviously, pushing the IP a lot. Topps Chrome 2026. This is the big statement physical collectibles trading cards product that's coming out for VFriends, and that comes out each year, or started last year. Obviously, a new set this year, and there's some big moves that they've made. So last year, pretty much only US, awfully, or like you couldn't get your hands on it in the UK. Almost basically no boxes allocated to the UK and nowhere around the world. This year, in the US, it's going to be sold not in every Target, but it is going to be sold in Target, Dick's Sporting Goods, and GameStop.
Wow.
So those are 3 big ones. But also on top of that, Walmart is not out the question. Also on top of that, it is going to be in different regions. Canada, it's going to be in the UK. There's going to be some presence in Europe.
Where in the UK?
I think what they're going to do, I don't think it's going to be through retailers, but it's going to be available in the UK, as in through these, Sports Cards Direct or these other websites, these other kind of not breakers, but companies that have been set up in the last couple of years around the card business. But also, big one, Asia. They're hitting Asia. Apparently, it's going to be available in China on Amazon in China.
That's mad.
That is a big swing.
What people don't realize about Series 2 is that the digital version is the rookie card to the physical.
Yes.
So it's like,
and
people are going to be collecting these physical cards, and they're going to go, hold on a second. The fucking rookie is the NFT.
And in Asia, they understand that more than most. I think Asia, they really understand. They're big into their cards for sure, but I think they also really understand in the collectible kind of nature. And I think they get that the first, like something being the rookie and being the first, is important. And I also think Asia, I mean, we've seen it in the last couple of years. NFT projects have started to target Asia a bit more. We saw it with Pudgy Penguins, I think a year ago or 2 years ago. They started showing up quite heavily to some of these big Asian crypto events, right? And that wasn't a coincidence that it wasn't just them doing that. They had started noticing that there was real opportunity, especially with the launch of Pengu token, etc., to tap into this Asian market because the Asian market really understood what was happening with the technology, whereas we were in this kind of lull in the West where people had kind of said, the mainstream had said, well, fuck NFTs, they were a fad, they've gone, and even you've seen the temperament call of crypto in the last 8 months. You've seen with that graph, you see it, but you even see it on the timeline. People starting to call their temperament on crypto has really cooled off. I mean, if I can share this thing just real quick, here, Kalshi coming out with a 50% chance that Bitcoin drops below 50K this year. I don't think that's going to happen, but that shows the sentiment that some people's sentiment is absolutely in pieces. And this one will make you laugh. This one really cracked me up because you told me about, you said about ETH dying with the bankless guy selling all his ETH. People, he couldn't sit on the sidelines. People's there, and he's got Vitalik on the medical bed being resuscitated, being kept alive. It says minus 58% from the.
Is that Ralph Powell as one of the doctors?
It might be actually. It might be. I'm not sure. I just assumed they were random doctors.
No, that's madness. But Simon, I just want to switch to you if you've got anything to chime in around.
You know what I was going to say? I have got a few little bits and pieces, I thought, but I just wanted to say I'm shameless. When I saw Gary posting, right?
I saw your comment.
So sad. I was going, I have a VFriends Series 2. I'm saving up for a VFriends Series 1. And I was trying to say it really, really early in order. Oh, it's me again. I'm saving up for so pathetic. But I am actually saving up. Or I might sell a couple of things, or I might just buy one. But other things, just to let you know. First of all, I've got to do a shout out to Benny and the Del Mundos. That sounds like a band. Del Mundo's new T-shirt, because Benny from Del Mundos was concerned that my other one was actually becoming completely rank because I was wearing it every show. But I have to assure him I was actually cleaning between shows.
Yeah.
But I got 2 of them, and just a quick one on the Dumb Wonders. This is a really fast, speedy update. What I'm really liking is they're now heavily in discussions with charities at the moment, and they're doing this proof of concept each stage. I have a feeling they have a huge amount of integrity. They do things the right way. They're highly experienced in the world of business. They're not going to overpromise and underdeliver. But I got a little feeling with the Dumb Windows. They've been cruising along at the same sort of price for a couple of months now, really, or 6 weeks. It's one of those things which I think is coiling because they're getting more and more people getting ownership. They've gone up to nearly 2,500. They're trying to aim for June for 3,000 holders. So that's their main thing at the moment, is getting more holders, not more people buying, not one person or just a few people buying.
Has it come down? It's come down a little bit in the last few weeks, has it not? So I think
it's hovering between. Yeah, it goes from 0.04 point something up to about 0.06, then back down. It bounces around there, but it keeps hitting a floor and then bouncing back up again. What's nice is newer people are coming in, and they're obviously. I was thinking about the other day. Most collections, it's just great that there's a really original, a very different original collection that comes out, which really strikes people. Yeah, I was thinking, put far too much pressure about, you're doing something so altruistic and globally, positive in terms of the environment. That's a big thing to be ambitious thing. You can also enjoy the art for what it is, which is, in fact, can I just say, I'm looking more and more like a Dumb Window myself. I think my head is becoming as right, and now I'm wearing this. I'm actually morphing into one. But that was great. The other thing I've noticed, I think, hats off to Chimpers as well. They really saw that the character-based thing coming when obviously VeeFriends were doing that. They could see that's the right move. Now they've opened their online merch store, and don't forget they've got a lot of followers on social media, a lot. Yeah, and they've done some proven test. They've done some test runs which have sold out very quickly, and now they've got these. But of course, as with all the things people are doing now, they're highly tied to the NFT or the digital aspect. So when you buy a box of goodies and the t-shirt boxes or whatever they are, those items have a connection back to an NFT, so that you can get rewards from that, and they're full on. I love what those guys are doing. What I love about them is they come on the show. Well, Jacob comes on the show, very open, very personable, very down to earth. He's just out there doing it the whole time, both of them. And they are actually putting their money where their mouth is. They're actually doing tangible things in just a very natural way, which I really like. I did notice that, with World of Women, I've noticed they started posting a little bit more now on the timeline. There was a moment when they were withdrawing a little bit, and I know there's still that "where is V" kind of thing. But I told you, Jaden, I got in touch with V on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn,
yeah, and she came back to me and just said, "Hi, Simon. I'm working on quite a big deal or possibility here. Watch out for it." And I know we were talking a little about, there's words and there's actions, of course, but that was interesting. She got back to me. Still not quite sure what's going on there, but it's nice to see them posting a bit more again.
It was interesting. I was quite surprised the reception in the Discord, and it was kind of like I went in there. It was like a remote Amazon tribe. It was just like people just arguing with each other. Well, not arguing with each other, but basically, it was a little bit chaotic. It didn't seem like there was a moderator in there or anything, or anyone.
Not entirely happy, but has been very happy. I keep talking about Pertz, who is the moderator, and she lives in Ukraine, and she's this one person who is a consistent and such a lovely human being. And she's the moderator, as much as possible to be in there as much as she can, holding the fort, not able to answer questions that she's not privy to the answers of, but still creating a good vibe. So she's fantastic. And And one last thing was slightly left field is, do you know of the OK Bears collection on Solana? They at the beginning, they got some big exposure, and they're good partnerships. Just niche thing they're doing at the moment, but I've just seen them emerge. They are doing this, talk about physical. They are supporting basketball courts. They have physical courts around, trying to do it around the world to bring sport to help people in maybe deprived areas, to raise money for sports, I think, and to help people at grassroots get into sport. But what's really clever is I think they're getting their own footprint, as it were, sort of like the logo and everything about OK Bears on the court. So when you look from an aerial point of view, you can see their brand. And obviously there's also things like wearables and all that. I think they're one to keep an eye out for, because they've kept going, and I've always quite liked. I did have one a couple of years ago, and I sold it.
That's an interesting kind of like strategy, but I like the originality. I think it's going to be hard for sure to make.
It's going to be hard. It's called the Kickstart program, I think it's called, or something.
Yeah, I think
are they raising money through Kickstarter?
I'm not sure. I need to look into it more, but I just really noticing it.
Crowdfunding site.
I was going to ask you, how are they funding that? Because if that's,
I was going to look on here actually. Yeah.
Unless they have like treasury money that they set aside, they would need to.
Yeah, just want to come on to the last thing that kind of came up on my radar, and then we'll kind of end the show there. But it's been great catching up with both of you. Is probably the final thing that we're going to cover is Adam Rhinotic, the 10,000 tokens launch. Just want to get your opinions on it. He's obviously had a bit of backlash. I commented on his post, gave my 2 cents. I'll just share it on here. Might not be able to zoom in. He basically says, I've been seeing a lot of threads about 10,000 tokens launch and how the project doesn't work. Token works is grifting, etc. And wanted to give my thoughts. Now he writes a big long text on obviously why he launched it. I think the long and short of it is that people have felt a little bit despondent because it feels like he's jumping around a little bit into different and new experiments instead of just focusing on, as he calls his golden goose, which is punk strategy, and maybe just developing some relationships with the NFT projects that could maybe adopt the token. And I think, Bird, you were probably on the same sort of page with it, which was in those early days when TokenWorks first came out, was quite a novel thing. It just would have been really good for him just to get as many NFT projects onboarded as possible.
Yeah.
And he just seems like he's kind of lost his way a little bit. And there are people who are commenting from other projects who are saying, why didn't you just double down on the token, on the strategy ecosystem? Did either of you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think I put something underneath the post. I saw your post as well, and I saw other people saying the same thing. But the real interesting thing was, I think if we really drew into that, there's so much interest. They'd captured the kind of trend of crypto Twitter, right? They had the interest for that moment, and it wasn't just one day or anything like that. It was a sustained period where they had the interest, right? And obviously they rolled out these token launches, and it was quite clear what they needed to do. They just needed to keep doing that. Just keep giving us 5 or reduce it 3 projects a week to launch their strategy token. That's all we needed. And we wanted it to be the biggest projects first, and then we'll get down to maybe the smaller projects or maybe some newer projects later on. The problem, what he did, I think he thought about it too much. He's very clearly very smart, but he didn't think about it strategically enough. And what he ended up doing was he said, you know what? Remember he said this. He said, I don't want to be the arbiter of who has a strategy token and who doesn't. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to democratize it. I'm going to make it so that anyone can do it. If you own the contract address of the NFT project, you can now launch your own strategy token for 1 ETH by and we're going to make it accessible for anyone to launch it. The problem is, it's not actually what people wanted.
Yeah.
The project owners wanted a white glove service. They wanted him also, or his team, but probably him, to come in and talk with them, strategize with them of, oh, what could we do slightly differently? Can we do this tweak? Can we do that? They wanted them to hold, they wanted him to hold their hand in the process, because it was new. You know, these NFT project, these project founders aren't necessarily super crypto native, so they don't fully they wanted just that holding hand process, that white glove process, the white glove experience rather, and they wanted to, and that's what they were really looking for. And so what you found was when he opened it up to anyone, and he said, okay, now anyone can launch their strategy token, and all you have to do is pay the 1 Ethereum launch fee, and you'll be able to launch your strategy token. What you actually found is not many people did it. Not many of those projects did it. And it doesn't make sense, because...
But it was also the build-up to the launch and those 4,000 or 5,000 wallets that were trading it, which gave them the shot in the arm. And then it was like, all of a sudden you had like Good Vibes Club, who had like 600 listed in the protocol. Chimpus, I don't know, had a few hundred. Max Payne had a few hundred. So then all of a sudden you've got a treasury of these tokens, which gives you the shot in the arm, which keeps the flywheel going.
They just had to keep rolling them out, didn't they? They literally just had to keep going to keep taking those things. That WoW, they should have made sure WoW was also launched on there as well. They shouldn't have, like, exactly, like, it was like they were in the winning position, and they fumbled the ball, because they had the winning cards, but they played it so wrong. They played it too, like, I get why he did it. He was like, he felt like the gatekeeper, and he didn't want to be the gatekeeper.
But that's turning it into a philosophy again. It's a bit like the thing I told you.
Yes. One thing I would say about him, I have no idea what he's really like, but I think it is important to think about what kind of person he is and how his mind works. From an investment point of view, because I can kind of relate to someone who is pretty creative and innovative in thinking, gets started on something, really enjoys the process, really loves the solving of things, gets to the end of the process, has something to show for it, but is not interested so much in taking it on any further in any kind of business-like way, or a way that's going to spread you too thin, because he's so drawn probably already to the next idea. And so the next idea comes along, and he gets the pleasure from what he's doing. And he has, I guess, it's only two things. He could either just say, look, frankly, I'm doing stuff that most people aren't doing. I'm letting you use it. Go and use it. Haven't got the capacity or, in fact, even the motivation to do any more hand-holding or provide any kind of exclusive services, which are going to take up my time and my energy, which I love focusing on X, Y, and Z instead. So he'd have a choice. He could either just say, carry on doing that, and people take it up or don't, or he could make a decision to get someone in who is very good at the things he's not interested in doing, or people. What I would say is that if he does produce something else, I'm sure he will.
I think he is
going so bloody bright and so innovative. People then will probably have to think third time round, okay, I love this idea. It sounds really exciting, and God, he's a brilliant guy. But let's be careful before I jump. I'm not going to expect much of a follow-up service to this, so I've got to make a decision about it. You know,
the problem is, like, clearly he's a builder. You're right, and he likes building, and he felt like he built like the strategy token strategy, and then he was done with it, and he kind of lost the, as you said, like, motivation, enthusiasm to stick with that, because he probably felt like, well, there's not much here to do. It's been built. All what was left to do really was to do that white glove service, get more NFT projects to launch their strategy tokens. But that wasn't interesting to him. That's like the business. That's what a business guy should come in and do. But the problem is he's come out before on a tweet, and he said, I'm not going to get someone else in. He said that, and he's also said he is going to keep launching new stuff. So it feels like we're back to this point where before token strategy existed, where we didn't even know the guy, or I definitely didn't. And, we looked at it later on, right? He's been experimenting for a while, and he's been putting out these experiments, and they're not largely successful. And then this one, the one punk strategy and token strategy tokens, that was the real successful one. But now we're past that, and so now it's going to go back to more experiments. 10,000 tokens was one of them, and it's going to keep. I think he's going to come out with something in a few months' time as well.
But what we've seen so far is that can't be successful, because it's going to because the success of it is going to come down to the business development and people adopting it, buying up the token to launch their own.
Can people, individual collections or people, make it successful for them? In other words, instead of he making that particular new innovation successful in its own right, can people plug into those bits which they find really inspiring and take it where they want to make it successful?
If there was a real big, like, Cole, or like someone with a big following, right, and maybe they'd helped Adam, or they'd sat on a few calls and they'd talked with him about strategy tokens, and then for whatever reason they thought that it's good for them to spend their time saying, you know what, guys, I'll be the white glove service. I will now go to these projects and tell them why they should have a strategy token. Maybe, but that's not going to happen.
Quick question here. Why can't someone take a strategy token and decide to put all their effort into making it successful for them? Why would they need him?
They don't need him. But it's what they want. It's kind of like it was the misplay was not seeing what they actually wanted, which was, going back to it, it was the founders, these project founders, they wanted to have a strategy token, yes, but they didn't want to just be like, given like the option to do it on their own. They wanted to have that white glove experience. They wanted Adam to sit with them, or someone working with Adam or for Adam to sit with them and explain fully in depth what this strategy token was going to be and how they could maybe tweak it to make it special for their community. That's what they wanted. They wanted a white glove experience. I mean, it's the same reason why.
Could someone do that? Could someone make a little business out of going, not even talking to Adam, actually going, look, I know how this thing works. I'm going to be a specialist that helps people.
I think you could, but I think you'd have to have a following already. And honestly, if you had a following already of like 50K followers or more, the question would be, why would you be doing that? You'd be doing it more probably out the goodness of your heart rather than any, monetary gain that you're going to get.
Chargeable service to give people a helping hand? Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah, I think, guys, outstanding conversation today. I think we're probably going to end things there because we've just gone slightly over time. But Simon, good to see you again, my man.
Thank you.
It's been a long time coming.
It's really nice. It's just so annoying, but it's going to get quieter. So I don't.
Yeah, no, you're good, bud. And Birds, thanks for getting out of bed for us, mate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Just what an entrance.
One last thing. I just want to talk about. I don't know, guys, if you saw Matchy selling some apes.
Selling his apes, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting thing that I saw on the timeline. Someone just said that he's taken that liquidity and put that into Hyperliquid. He put $287,000 into to Hyperliquid to add to his Ethereum longs. So taking a completely opposite take to what maybe crypto Twitter is doing. And last thing came out whilst we were live, so I thought we should mention it. I know we're really staying more NFT crypto focused, but it does look like there is a new US-Iran peace deal, and oil has fallen below $90. So that's something that's looking, if the war can be cleared up, if that bill can get passed, then I can see the market improving in this second half
That's
of 2026.
great. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Can I just say what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep investing in NFTs, but because of the heat in the UK and what's going to be happening over the years with the world heating up, I'm going to start an aircon business in the UK. That is honestly,
the play.
Forward thinking. Someone who starts up an aircon.
Are you going to launch an NFT to fund that business?
Yes,
so you
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that.
Put out 10,000 aircon NFTs, and then in 2 years' time they'll get a free aircon.
Absolutely, I think that's the most important message I can leave everyone with.
I wonder if NFTs will one day become like the new Kickstarter, where you can launch any business and you launch it for an NFT project. And it's like, and it's exactly like that. It's like, unironically, someone actually does put out 10,000 aircon NFTs. And then in 2 years' time, once they built the business, they then give you the free aircon. And it was like you were the early backer and helped make one.
I'd like someone to help me. I might launch a collection so I can buy a house overseas.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can.
That's a place.
I don't mind doing something for personal gain. No, but it's been really great to chat to you both.
It's been good.
It's been a good one, guys. Just for the 100 of you that have joined us, if you want to listen to the recording back, you can go to carrotlane.com/subscribe, or just the link in our bios. You just pop your email address in and we'll send it to your inbox. Just had a message from one of our members who just sent us a screenshot from Substack. Alexander Mayer, he says, or he's just sent a message from someone who's put something in the chat. Speaking of Bankless, the Bankless Genesis NFTs are a bargain. And what many people don't know, if you hold all 5, you get a premium subscription to Bankless for life and free access to Genesis NFT Telegram chat. Maybe Carrot Lane needs to launch an NFT project and we do something similar.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bankless is on the way down from what I'm seeing on the timeline. I don't want to say that, but yeah. It looks like
and Jaden, one last thing. If you do a Carrot Lane collection, it's got to be pictures of playing cricket. It's a sport. That's your thing.
Yeah, right? But people don't resonate with it, mate.
Or a carrot NFT. Imagine carrot.
Oh, God, yeah. A range of carrots.
Yeah.
But no
AI. Little treasure hunt.
No way.
Little treasure hunt of carrots. You got to zoom in on the picture. Guys, definitely going to end it there. Really appreciate the both of you, and to the 100 of you that have joined us. Really appreciate all of you. We'll be back the normal scheduled time at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Time. Hope you can join us. Thanks for joining. Until next week. Cheers, Simon. Thank you, Burge.
Cheers.
Love you guys.
Take care.